Yo, what is good, everybody? I am back. It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back with part 5 of What If Deku Had a Clone Quirk. And it seems like y'all been enjoying it. The comments are telling me that. So the viewership I thought was even gonna be better than the Foresight Quirk, and in the beginning it did say that. But when I put part 2 out, I had a lot of glitched statistics. And I actually don't really know if YouTube was even pushing the video out for the first couple hours, which is very unfortunate. But hey, it's okay at the end of the day. I'm gonna try my best. Like I told y'all, I'm trying my best to stay daily or as close as possible to daily, because I just want to pump out these videos for y'all. And obviously I have my homie XSplit and also Crown Fiend. They help me with thumbnails, and recently, just because that saves me so much time. And they're super good at doing thumbnails, so it saves me a ton of time to basically just make these videos and not have to worry about that. And yeah, that's all I really got to say. I'm not going to waste that much more of your time, because let's get into the 5th part of What If Deku Had a Clone Quirk. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is in a weird spot now, especially with his class. Aizawa has just lost a student, Katsuki Bakugo, and he's currently captured by the LOV. The League of Villains is a notorious group, and they've already dealt with them once, even twice, just not all together that separate occasion. But the real worry is if Katsuki Bakugo is going to turn. Izuku doesn't know. He's not sure. He remembers when he was a kid. They were practically best friends, or maybe that was Izuku's delusional mind telling him that they were best friends. But still, he's a friend of Izuku. Izuku takes this to heart. The fact that his former best friend got kidnapped, someone that he's been rivals with so far, someone that's maybe he hasn't liked him very much, but still, it's somebody that he respects to a certain extent. Somebody that needs to be a hero. There's no way Bakugo would turn, right? Izuku doesn't know, but with the occurrence that just happened, they begin to leave. They begin to head back to UA, or some of them would be immediately rushed to the hospital. This was a bit of a, well, bad invasion. An invasion of the forest training camp was something that wasn't exactly foreseen, at least not entirely. So it put them in an odd situation. With that said, though, they all begin to prepare, and they all begin to get ready. Well, more like Izuku begins to get ready. Because one night he would go over to where Momo Yaoyorozu is, and he would ask for an extra tracker. A tracker that would lead him straight to where he needs to be, straight to save Bakugo. Now, Momo doesn't want to give him this, but Izuku makes it adamant that he'll send clones. He'll be just fine. It'll be as if it was a scouting mission. Their training will be exactly what it needs to be. Izuku will set himself up for success, exactly what needs to happen. He promises he'll be safe. There's nothing that he's going to do that would be reckless. Momo would be inclined to believe him, and frankly his quirk is suited for a recon mission itself, so Izuku would get a tracker and would get that monitor, and he would eventually converge on the location of where Bakugo is. But during this time, he would wait, because he would see heroes begin to more or less invade that said building. When they would invade, an explosion can be heard from inside, and then multiple could be heard as well. Izuku is confused at what's occurring. Was that Bakugo fighting back against the heroes, or was that him fighting against the villains? He's not so sure. He can hope for the best, but eventually everything would clear up, but then everything would go right down the drain in a matter of minutes. Bakugo and so many others in the LOV would be transported to a new location, in which not too far away from Izuku. Izuku would head over there as the heroes are completely and utterly preoccupied with a bunch of the other Nomus and so on. Izuku sees this being floating in the air and Bakugo surrounded by the League of Villains. Bakugo seems to be fending himself off, which certifies the idea that he did not go over to the bad side of things. Izuku is happy to see this, but he needs to be able to converge on the location of Bakugo and get him out of there. Izuku would send a speed version of himself going racing through the crowd, as the speed version of Izuku would smash into one of the villains and also hit another one right in the face. Shigaraki would be shocked to see this, as another speed clone of Izuku would come from the other side, kicking more and more of the villains away, as a third grabs Bakugo and races him off. Izuku smirks slightly to think that he got away with it, but just as he thinks so, tendrils begin getting sent toward exactly where Izuku is. The tendrils smash into the wall Izuku is hiding behind and penetrates through the side of Izuku. Izuku gets pulled through that said wall and gets sent flying toward All For One. All Might just arrives on the scene as he sees Izuku stuck in the air with All For One sitting right there, or standing right there with Izuku at the neck. Izuku is struggling to escape. His eyes begin to flash different colors, strength version, as he smashes into the arm of All For One, but he can't escape, not enough. He hurts All For One's arm and he continues to pound on it, but nothing occurs. His eyes begin to flash yellow as he tries to speed out of it, but that doesn't work as well. His eyes begin to flash multiple colors, more and more and more. Yellow, red, blue, purple, green. Everything that he has, everything that is happening. But slowly, Izuku is fading. Breath is getting hard or harder. Oxygen not being able to be intaked. Izuku can't breathe. And the lights are getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. But just as he's about to pass out, his eyes begin to shift to a shade of white as he falls through All For One's hand. All For One is completely shocked, completely in awe. How did that? Just as he's about to contemplate how Izuku did that, All Might punches him right in the jaw so hard it sends him flying to the ground. All Might runs over and catches Izuku, asking if he's okay, but his eyes are still white. Izuku begins to fall through the ground as if he's some sort of ghost. Now this, with what's happening, All Might's confused. What's going on? Is he dead? Everyone that's there currently is shocked to see, for one, Izuku there, but the fact that he just transparently fell through the ground. How is that even possible? Izuku continues to fall further and further and further. He's headed toward the core of the earth, but it seems like his body is limp. There's nothing there. But out of nowhere, his eyes begin to transform once again. That white color changes rapidly. All the colors you could possibly think of, every emotion, every dial. Izuku's eyes then stop once again on white. A pure white, as if you could see through him itself. He flies straight up from the ground, and as he does, and as he comes out of the ground, a bunch of clones do as well. They begin pouring out from the left and right side of Izuku. Ones with yellow eyes, some with red eyes, some with purple, with blue, with light blue, with any color you can think of, all varying in different quirks. All For One looks up in complete and utter shock. What the hell is this kid? Izuku still, the main Izuku still with that white, deep white colored eyes, seems to be completely gone at this moment. It seems he's lost all sense of reality at this point. And it seems like Izuku has created his last stand. Now this is the Quirk Clone Parade. Something that Izuku had no idea he can do, and something that opens the eyes of All For One and believes that he might need this kid to take over everything. But the plan that he set up before this did not have this in mind. Izuku's clones begin to overwhelm All For One on top of All Might, absolutely taking the advantage over. The League of Villains are in cahoots to escape using a portal All For One makes, but even Izuku's clones, the piles of them, refuse to let them go, capturing them and knocking them out cold. Izuku's speed clones race them off to Tartarus, basically to get them in prison as soon as possible. All For One can feel everything collapsing. Everything that he built is going to fail. He sends tendrils at all the clones at Izuku, trying to kill them all. And as he does, they do poof out of existence and they do destroy. But for some reason, it feels like the advantage already has been lost, and that this fight is over. All Might lands his very last United States a smash, sending All For One to the ground with a cracked mask. Izuku then watches as one of his unique clones entraps All For One in some sort of barrier, forcing him still and unable to move entirely. A move that would allow All For One, or force All For One, to not be able to do anything. And on top of that, All For One can feel that it seems like some of his quirks are deactivated on top of that. Maybe a version of Izuku that could actually cancel quirks similar to Aizawa. But just as they get the quirk cuffs on All For One, Izuku and his eyes begin to peter, turning back to that dark green, or that green that he normally has, and he passes out on the ground. All of his clones fall through the earth as if they didn't even exist, as if they were arisen out of pure sheer will. Izuku is out cold, and he'll be out cold for a while. But with the League of Villains caught, All For One in prison, there's a lot of question marks revolving around what just occurred. And while he's out cold, they're gonna have to speak about it. What do they want to do? There are many things to come, but Izuku may deserve that provisional hero license, because when I say he was out for a while, he was out for a while. The utilization of a quirk like that, something that he's been working on so that he could duplicate multiple clones at once, he just made a colony worth of people. Now that puts someone out for a long time, frankly. But after a while would pass, he would awaken eventually, and everybody would be waiting. The doctor said he would awaken in sometime between that day that they arrived and also 8 to 10 hours after. So it's something that they were all waiting for, and Izuku has finally awakened. They're extremely excited and happy, frankly. Izuku is awake and not in a bad state. He wasn't necessarily in the worst state before, but he wasn't, frankly, in the best either. It's something that Izuku was happy to see, is that everyone was there basically to greet him. It makes him feel that his bit of, well, sacrifice in a way was definitely worth it. These people that are around him, these people that are here, definitely care. And Izuku, well, he did something extremely crazy after being put in a scenario that he's never seen before. Still, he'll have some recovery time. He's not all fine and dandy after being, well, completely and utterly choked by All For One, but overall, he'll be fine. And there's one more surprise that Aizawa has, and that surprise would be something that All Might wants to give him, and so does Melissa. They would walk into the hospital room with a small little license for Izuku. The provisional hero licensing exam already occurred, and they had to go through some hoops, but they were able to get him one. Of course, this would be well, convenient for them because they didn't want to have to get him in super serious trouble for what he did in the first place. Which is pretty good and relevant in general, but he still feels that he caused a far bit of trouble for something like that. But they believe that sometimes you have to sacrifice and you have to be put in a scenario like this, like the one that he was in, to truly show what your true colors are. And Izuku would have sacrificed everything to make sure everyone was okay, and that's the sign of a true hero. Another offer would be made from All Might. All Might telling him that whenever he's ready to go, there's gonna be someone wanting him to be ready to go on to basically fulfill a spot as someone's agency, and that is Sir Night-Eye. Currently one of the top 3 heroes in Japan, Sir Night-Eye is, well, pretty well known, you could say. Sir Night-Eye is someone that people respect, people enjoy, people love. Sir Night-Eye is serious but calculated at the same time. Someone very, very good for Hero Society. On top of that, this will allow Izuku and Melissa to team up once again at the Sir Night-Eye agency and pick up where they left off as one hell of a duo. Bakugo would also walk in and, frankly, in his own Bakugo way, would thank Izuku for basically saving him and putting him in a scenario that was, well, advantageous, you could say. But things are not over, and things aren't even close to being finished. Izuku and Melissa will be headed to Night-Eye's agency, and they'll be put on a case to find Overhaul, the leader of the Shiya Hazaikai, and that is the next test that Izuku will seek, and that is the next test that they'll have to deal with. Izuku Midoriya will face off with Overhaul in the next part 6 of What If Deku Had a Clone Quirk. He was able to take on All For One, or at least to a certain extent. He was able to take on the LOV, but can he take on the reputable and, well, the long-living Shiya Hazaikai? Well, then you'll have to find out on the next part of What If Deku Had a Clone Quirk. And if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a sub, and make sure to leave a comment down below. And yeah, I don't really got much to say. I hope you all have an amazing day, and that's about it. Later.